So we may not fully know yet what the identity of the defense is, but I think we both agree this is now a defensive football team. How important is that for a Pete Carroll team?
It's everything. Yeah. I mean, that and running the ball, that's what Pete Carroll wants to do. And I think this is sort of the classic matchup. This is kind of a Pete Carroll game Sunday, two tough defenses, two teams that really like to run the ball. Now, I think with Baltimore, it's a lot about Lamar Jackson. He's a big part of the running game, but that is by and large been
it's who they are, who they want to be.
Yeah, that's a run heavy team, and Pete will tell you that as you get later in the season when the weather starts to turn, that's the kind of game that travels, and that's what you really need to be. It's certainly a new era in Seattle, and I think there was some clashing of offensive philosophies between Pete and Russell Wilson. We don't need to revisit that whole thing, but there's now really no doubt about what they want to be. Now, that said, they still got away from the run in that game against Cleveland. Now, I think that was partly the product of they were going 3 and out so many times that they just didn't have enough plays to get to their running game. I think that's going to change, and I think this is going to be a classic Pete Carroll style game on Sunday.
Well, I hope so. I mean, I think that's sort of the one piece that you're sort of waiting to see, but it just strikes me that for the last, let's call it 6 or 7 years, since the Cam and Cliff retirements, that they just haven't all been moving in the team has not felt like it's been all moving in the right or same direction. And for the first time this year, and I understand it started a little bit last year with sort of the gasping the influx of oxygen to the room with Russell leaving. But with a defense that is playing the way this one is, it finally feels like a full Pete Carroll team again. And shouldn't be that surprised that they were only able to do so much while they were not fully in one similar direction for all of those years.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And look, this is the inclination is always going to be to compare them to the Legion of Boom. And in terms of results, that's not fair. But in terms of kind of styles, I think that is, you can sort of compare the two. And one similarity I am starting to see is, look, you're not going to have the same level of alpha male personalities that you had. That sort of mixture of guys may never be replicated again. But I think you are seeing them going back to some of those bigger personality types. And from what I understand, sort of the evolution of it was towards the tail end of that era, the Legion of Boom era. Like, look, they were dealing with the dual-edged sword of those personality types, where on the field you got dogs left and right who are going to give you everything. They're going to raise the level of play of everybody. They're going to hold guys accountable, and they're just going to be nasty on the field. The other side of that is that you end up dealing with a lot of headaches, throughout the week and throughout the season, like off the field. And from what I understand, they just got so sick of dealing with all those problems that they kind of they started to trend, maybe even subconsciously, towards easier going guys. Remember that 2017 draft when they took 3 defensive backs? It was all sort of more mellow, 4 defensive backs, more mellow guys. And I think by and large, that was sort of the approach they took just as a team. They were sort of eliminating some of those, irrepressible personalities that they had. And in retrospect, they overcorrected. And so getting Jamal Adams back, big part of the reason for the trade was getting that type of edge back in their locker room. And it seems like they're still trying to do that. They're still working towards getting more of those personality types back.
Well, Devin Witherspoon sure seems to have something. Yeah. I don't know if it's the same as the Legion of Boom guys, nor should it be. It doesn't need to be the same, but it's whatever the personality is, it's big. And he certainly plays that way on Sundays, and you get that sense of the energy and the passion and just the ability to go in and hit people. So I really like it. I don't know whether this team's going to win a Super Bowl. I'm not trying to oversell them. And certainly the next 6 weeks, 7 weeks, whatever it is going to be a really, really difficult challenge. And we'll find out at the end of it just how good they are. But I feel so much more comfortable with where they're going than I did before this season started. And a big part of that is I feel like they're starting to really develop an identity that fits who their head coach is, that fits the style of what they want to play. And I don't know that you can put a price on that. Like, I think that has some real legitimate value.
I think the most encouraging thing about that defense is there's no real weak link right now. There's no unit that you could say, oh boy, if they're going to go after that guy or they're going to go after that group. They've got guys who can make plays, and Pete Carroll was talking about this on your show a few weeks ago. You've got guys that can be big-time playmakers at every level. Now, losing Nwosu, obviously, that costs them one of their best playmakers. But you've still got quite a bit up front. You've still got linebackers who can make plays. You're seeing them get them more involved in blitzing than they have been in years past. And Devin Witherspoon, I mean, he looks like he can do it all, including blitzing from the slot, including making big hits and interceptions.
Funny? They kind of have that on offense, too. I mean, the funny thing about this team is there aren't a lot of major weaknesses to it. They're not a perfect team, and not every one of those positions is, tops in the league. But their offensive line has been good. They're very, very deep. Their wide receiving core is good. I don't know how deep it is, but it's very good. And your tight end group is very deep and very good. Your running back group is good and deep. I mean, the one sort of question mark becomes, it's not even really a question mark. It's really just the spotlight. And that's why I wrote about that this week, is Geno Smith. Is your quarterback going to be up to taking this group to a higher level?